Good afternoon and welcome to the Big Show. The Big Show, we do it every single day. We try and do it as much and as often as we can. It's one of those things where we like to talk about Pittsburgh sports. Obviously, not a lot going on with the Steelers, so we're going to start with the Pirates today for a variety of reasons. But most importantly, it's one of those things where this is really a season that has become what I would call a total disaster. I mean, I wouldn't even classify it as anything other than a total disaster. And I think one of the things that now has to happen is the Pirates have to really figure out what it is they want to be and how quickly they want to be that person. They don't have the opportunity, I don't think, to go through and try and wait to see what happens with some of their prospects, because I don't think they have very many good prospects. I really don't. And I think that when you look at what they are and where they're at, I wrote about this the other day. The biggest thing to me is they really need to figure out, okay, how to get out of this regime that they're currently in. It's got to go. I mean, it's got to go. I mean, Ben Cherington's got to go. A bunch of his other guys in the front office, they've got to go. Travis Williams got to go. It's got to be a complete rebuild situation where it's one of those things where this is now to the point where you just got to turn it, just kind of throw everything out and throw it out because it's not working. And it's clear that it's not going to work. So you start over. And I know that people don't want to hear that. People are tired of 5-year plans. They're tired of, losing and all the other stuff that goes on with the Pirates. But it's reality. It's where the Pirates are at. The Pirates right now are in a place where their best course of action is to blow this whole damn thing up and start over. And then I think if you think about it that way, okay, if they start over, that's where it comes, in my mind, when we start talking about trading Paul Skenes. Seriously, that's what happens. It feels like that's what you have to do. And so if you think about it, Jeff Passan wrote about it, I guess, and it started to pick up a little bit of steam, where a number of people are talking about, well, I just think it's going to be, they should trade him for his good, his own good. And I don't think that's what you want to do, is it? I don't think you trade a guy for his own good. I think you trade a guy because you think that basically, okay, you can make your team better. And if you don't think that you can make your team better, then you don't trade a guy. But you don't trade him because you feel like, oh, well, for his own good, we really, really, really have to, think about him and think about the fact that we're wasting him and all that kind of stuff. Come on, man. He's not the first player who's been a star on a really bad team. I mean, that expression, hold my beer. I'm pretty sure that Mike Trout might say, you know what, why don't you hold my beer? I mean, he's been on an awful team for as long as I can remember. As long as he's actually been in the league, I think he's been on a really bad team. And so my point is, that's not why you would trade Paul Skenes. You trade Paul Skenes because here's reality. Reality is that you are probably now going to have to strip it all down, rip it all down, and everything else. And if you do that, then guess what? If you do that, then you're going to have to, at that point, really, really think about, can we possibly keep Paul Skenes in the mix? And the answer is no. He's a free agent after 2029. Let's say you fire Ben Cherington this year. Okay, so now you fired Ben Cherington. What's next? What's next is you have what would basically be a another 5-year building plan. Period. So it comes to me, I say, well, if that's the case, right, you've got another 5-year rebuilding plan, then what? Now, all of a sudden, you have to think about the fact that, you know what? You're not going to have Paul Skenes when you get good again. You're just not. And I think that's where we're the disconnect is, honestly. And to me, if you think about it, it really, really becomes a difficult thing. In so many ways, it becomes a difficult thing to explain to people. But you have until, basically 2029, you've got Paul Skenes. And if he's not good enough, boy, I'm sorry, if you're not good enough, you will have wasted him, wasted an opportunity to build with him. For real. So to me, I think it's one of those things where Paul Skenes is where we start, but it's not just about Paul Skenes. It's not. It's also about basically trying really hard to make sure that you have a setup where you're able to, in many, many ways, you're able to, rebuild your organization with prospects and everything else. The only way you can do that is if you are able to start acquiring them. And you can't acquire them really, if you think about it, unless you trade some of the assets that you have. And some of the assets that you have are the most important assets that you have. One of them is absolutely Paul Skenes. And I think that's really what the gist of all this discussion is about Paul Skenes, is that you think about it, he's a guy that you have to talk about trading because he's going to bring back the pieces that you need. Sorry about that. I dropped something on the floor and didn't want it to become a problem. Anyway, that's never happened before where I had to jump out for a minute because I dropped something on the floor. Radio, you could get away with it because, they just go to a break real quick and then you just jump off the thing. But anyway, back to the Pirates real quick. I think it's important for the Pirates, honestly, to think about rebuilding completely. And that's really where we're at with it. You cannot continue on the course they're on. I mean, what are they, 15-33? They've got one of the best pitchers in baseball, and guess what? He's being wasted. They've lost 4 straight starts of his because they can't hit. And to be honest, if you ask me, here's where you go. Mitch Keller, why is he still on it? Trade him. He's not a part of the solution for the future. Trade him. Pray to God that Brian Reynolds somehow finds his swing again. Trade him. David Bednar, I'm not sure if he's going to find his groove again, But if he goes on a tear where he goes 5 or 6 straight really good outings, trade him. Tommy Pham. Do we need to see Tommy Pham ever bat again in a Pirates uniform? We don't. I mean, Adam Frazier. I'm glad that Adam Frazier is a fan favorite and he plays hard and he's a good little baseball player and all that garbage. The guy can't play anymore. My point is, blow the whole damn thing up. It's time. I know the draft is in like 2 weeks. Really, the day after the draft, you get rid of Ben Cherington, you get rid of half the front office, and you start over again. And then you start trying to trade some of your guys, and hope that somebody out there still thinks, right, that maybe this guy or that guy still has something left. But I don't think there's any question in my mind that at this point, you blow it up. All right, joining us now. Are you there, John?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We got John Grattan, who's the Plum hockey coach who comes on to talk about hockey. But, John, I know you've grown up in this area, and you've probably, like many other people, are a frustrated Pirates fan. So I'm going to ask you a few Pirates questions because, quite frankly, I'm tired of talking about them by myself. As a Pirates fan and someone who has observed the baseball and the Pirates for a long, long time, do you agree with me that their best course of action is basically a rebuild? Just clean the front office out, clean the business office out, clean anybody out that basically has had anything to do with compiling this roster and restocking and rebuilding to try and see if they can't hit lightning in a bottle with the next group of prospects?
Boy, that's a tough one. And I'm speaking as a fan. I'm not an expert on this. I'm certainly not that when it comes to the Pirates. But it's so hard for me to say that when you have such great pitching. That is so hard to get. And even the guys at the back end of the rotation are pretty darn good when you're talking about losing games 1-0. But as far as the rest of it goes, and position players and the front office, I mean, it's such a joke. But you can't do the full blow up without getting rid of those pitchers too. So it's a tough one.
Well, think about it like this. Paul Skenes is a free agent after 2029.
Yes.
That means probably right around the trade deadline at 2028, the Pirates are going to be looking to trade him, right? To try, because he won't be a straight rental. They'll be able to get a lot for him because they have a year and a half left on his deal. Well, 2028, I got to tell you, if you fire Ben Cherington this year, 2028 is only 2 years into the new regime, and so to me, I don't know.
I mean, if you do it, you're going to get a ton back, and you will be able to do that rebuild again. And it is inevitable that it's going to happen. So, it's not like he's staying for the long term or any of them for that matter. So if you do trade those guys that you said, I think you get a ton back. And yeah, that's looking like the way to go.
Well, I will say this, okay? How old are you, John? You're only about 34 years old. Okay, so you were born, let me think, 1995, 96-ish?
91.
Oh, wow. My math was way off. Okay. So 91, you've seen, actually you probably didn't see, but you were at least alive when the Pirates won in 91 and 92, and then 2013, 14, and 15. So 5 times in your life, they've had a playoff series. 2 of them you were, less than 1 and less than 2 years old. They've had a 6th season where they actually finished 500 and didn't make the playoffs. So in your lifetime, 34 years, they've had 6 winning seasons, essentially.
That is absolutely accurate. I mean, in my generation's claim to fame, and we act like it means something, is Cueto dropping a baseball. And it was cool. It was cool, but that is all we got. And that's a pretty pathetic run for a 34-year franchise.
Right. Well, if you think about it, right, I was born in 1970, okay? From 1970 And actually, you can go back even a little further than this. If you were to go back to 1969, from 1969 to 1980, they had one losing record. It was 80 and 82, right? They won a World Series, and they got three NLCSs. Actually, they won 2 World Series in the 70s and got to 5 NLCSs. I'm sorry, my math is terrible today. They won 2 World Series and got to 4 NLCSs in the 70s. Okay? And the reason I bring this up is because at one point, for a long, long time, you go back to Honus Wagner's days, and you go back to, the Clemente days, and Mazeroski and Dick Groat and all that, right?
Yep.
The Pirates were actually one of the best teams in baseball for a lot of years. Or
Incredible.
if you think about the 70s, right? Do you know who the best teams in the 70s were? Probably the 4 best teams: the Reds, the A's, the Pirates, and probably the Yankees. And the Orioles, if you want to throw the Orioles in there, right?
I mean, it's really a storied franchise.
If you think about it, right? Do you know, and let me just make sure I got this right. Do you know, and this is unbelievable if you think about it, the Pirates right now, I think in 1979, the Pirates as a franchise were something like 400 games over 500, okay, for their existence. They are right now 2 games over 500, which means probably within about a week or a week and a half, they're going to have a losing overall franchise record. That tells you how horrific they've been for the last 80, since 1980 on. Think about that. At one point, they were all, I think it was 398 or 399 or 400, over 500. They right now, if my math is correct, let me look at it one more time. They right now, they are, yes, they are 10,854, 10,854, and 10,852, which means by the end of the weekend, they could absolutely be a franchise that has a losing overall record. And my thing is, and this is a question, then we'll get to hockey, but this is a question for you. If they say they fall under 500, I mean, put it this way: they're 2 games over. Is it reasonable to suggest that over the rest of the season they're going to be like 20 games under? Like, yeah, like if they have, right? So 15 and 30, yes. Right? So they've played 48 games, okay, which means they have 114 games left. Is it reasonable to suggest that they're going to go like 40 and 60, or so it'd actually be more than that? Say like 44 and say like 68 or something. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, I think it could be worse.
Okay, so but here's my point. My point is this: they're legitimately probably going to end this season as a franchise 18 games under 500, 19 games, 20 games under 500 as a franchise. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, regardless, they're going to be under 500. It's just a matter of how much.
You said you're 34, right?
Correct.
Average lifespan for a dude in this country, I think, is about 78, right?
I'll take it.
So let's say you have 44 years left on this planet. Do you think you will ever see them get out over 500 again as a franchise?
I literally just had this conversation with a few people. If I'm going to die and ever and here's how much more ridiculous the question was.
I'm not saying.
Our question was the World Series.
Yeah,
let alone 500.
my thing is, you will see them individually in seasons probably have winning seasons over the next 44 years. Maybe even make the playoffs. Maybe even make a World Series run. What I'm saying is this. If they finish this season, say they're 18 games, 19 games under 500 as a franchise, do you think they will ever get to a point in your lifetime over 44 years where they're back over 500?
I would take the no.
All right. Because here's the thing. Next year is going to be worse.
Yeah.
And the year after, probably not much better. So
there's not even a plan. There's not even a plan in sight.
Right.
You can't even see a vision. So
they're probably going to get to a point where they're like 50 or 60 or 70 games under 500 over the next 2 or 3 years. And if they are, I don't see any chance of them, getting back to where they're over.
That's a hard hole to dig out of.
Anyway, that's Pirates baseball. Here's the other thing I'll throw. Here's the other thing I'll throw at you because I know you like the golf, right?
I do.
What is a reasonable round of golf in terms of time?
Time, 18 holes. I mean, we got to keep it under 5.
Yes. Well, I mean, my thing is if it starts creeping over 4, I lose interest. I'm pissed off.
Oh yeah. Well, it just means you're standing around, you're waiting around. There's too much BS if you're getting over that time.
And here's what I don't understand. It doesn't need to be that way. Like everybody thinks when I say keep moving, that means I'm saying, well, you shouldn't take your time and hit your shot. Yeah, no, you can line up and take your shot. I mean, I look at the ball and I hit the ball right. It's all the other crap, dude. Mm-hmm. I can't listen. My last round of golf was 6 hours.
That's outrageous.
Almost makes me not want to play golf, John, ever again. Yeah. 6 hours. And here's the thing about it, okay? What is this thing where guys are in a cart? I hit it here, you hit it here. Both of us drive here. One gets out, hits the ball, then we drive here together. And what is that?
It's everywhere. I can't fathom it. I can't fathom it.
Yeah, drive here, drop this guy off, go to your ball. This guy hits, you meet about here, and you go to the next ball. I don't understand why it's a problem.
And we don't sound like this is like really golf 101. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't sound snobby here.
Here's another thing. If there's only 2 of you, you don't need to mark your ball on every green. You don't. You don't need to mark your ball, pick it up, and all that crap. You don't need to do that.
There is just unless it is completely egregiously in the way, I don't see any reason.
Here's another one I thought today. Here's another one I saw that just I was ready to start hitting balls into somebody, right? Here's the green right here. Here's the tee, right? Okay. The next hole is over here. Can you explain why you hit the ball, you park your cart right here, then you walk all the way down to the green, do what you got to do, then walk all the way back to your cart, which is in between the tee and the green, as opposed to someone driving the – I just don't understand it. I don't. I lose my mind.
Honestly, it's COVID had so many people pick up golf. And now you got so many idiots.
Listen,
quite like it.
You go to certain countries.
Weekends are worse.
Yeah, but you go to certain country clubs. They got starters out there and rangers out there. They keep it moving. So if it's full, it doesn't matter because it's still like a 4 hour, 10 minutes. But
yeah,
you get on some of these public courses, right? And I'm just like,
I'm there exclusively.
I don't know. It's like, listen, dude, you're not on tour here. All right, you're playing this Muni you're playing this Muni with me, which means you ain't on tour. Okay. And if you're betting your buddy, if you're betting your buddy $1,000 on this, you shouldn't because neither of you are that good.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
for
what
sure.
we doing? Oh, my blood was boiling when I walked off the course. Like
6 hours is outrageous.
There's no reason for it.
That's
no reason at all.
Where were you? Can you say?
No, I'll spare the course because what's funny is one of the reasons I picked the course, you'll love this, is because right on their website, one of the things they say is we really enforce pace of play, blah, blah, blah. blah, blah. Oh, good. Okay, if we're going to enforce the pace of play, we're going. Let's go hit it, right? No. And the thing is, you don't even have – I'm not that good, you know what I mean? But I play. I just step up, hit the ball, step up, hit the ball, step up, hit the ball, move on. It's not hard.
At a certain point, we're all amateurs. We all stink. You know, at a certain point, you're not helping yourself in any way. You're almost hurting yourself. I got so many people in my life like that. Yeah.
I'll tell you another one that was beautiful, right? both two of the people that were in front of me hit the ball into the sand trap. That was every bit of like 250 or 245, 250 yards away, uphill to the green.
Okay.
Both stood outside the sand trap and waited for the group ahead of them to get off the green, as if they were going to hit a 250-yard shot uphill out of the sand. Okay? Needless to say, I watched them both hit the entire round, and I'm like, these guys are out of their mind. They could. I could tell them your driver put it in the middle of the fairway. They couldn't get it up the hill to 250. What are they, out of the sand? Come on, man. Anyway,
last round I was at, I actually got yelled at because I did the opposite. Par 5, I can easily play my second shot here. I'm not getting there. I was about 100 yards out from the green, and he yelled at me as if I shot into him. I said, well, football field away from me, brother.
Yeah. So, my thing is, maybe if you weren't taking so much time, we wouldn't hit into you. You know what I mean?
That's fair too.
I love that. I love that guy too. You know, hard ass wants to fight. You know, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
First of all,
usually in jeans.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like, listen, dude, how about just keep moving? You standing here now, you're wasting more time, and guess what? That makes me want to hit into you again. Go. You know. Anyway,
John, he's fired up.
Anyway, John is Plum's hockey coach. He's obviously coached at a lot of different levels. He's very much into the hockey scene and everything else. And John, then there were 4. If you look at the last 4 teams standing, it's Edmonton against Dallas. It's Florida against Carolina. Are you surprised that these are the conference finals? Was there any team that you thought might get there that didn't?
I mean, the story of the playoffs is Toronto, obviously. They had a chance for sure, but it was such a hard run. You know, it's not like you're going to look at a team like Florida and say they shouldn't be there. That's the way the bracket fell, and that was a great series with Florida and Toronto. But the way the brackets fell out, no, I'm actually not surprised. I think this makes sense.
You look at Toronto and you look at the Capitals. I think most people thought the Capitals probably would fall short, that they probably just didn't quite have enough, didn't quite have enough in goal. But at the end of the day, Toronto is a team that everyone kind of felt like, they should be able to do it this year. Why did they fall short? I guess, is it just Florida's that good, or?
Well, I mean, that's part of it. You can't take Florida out of the equation. They're an incredible team, and I think they have as good a shot as any to be back in the Stanley Cup final. It's hard to look at Toronto. There were spurts throughout the entire series where they played so well. Obviously, it went 7 games, so it wasn't as lopsided as it may have seemed like. Even in that game 7, it was a really, really good game, and then until it just wasn't. And it's hard to figure it out. You can say maybe the goaltending wasn't where they needed it to be, but they got superstars up and down the lineup, depth, great on the back end with their defense. So it's quite a puzzle to figure out up in there in Toronto. I'm not. They're going to have to blow it up in some ways. They're not going to keep Tavares, I don't feel. They're not going to keep Marner. So that team's going to look a lot different. And they might have missed their window there.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny when you think about it. Toronto, is it just a matter of when you have a team like that with that core? I mean, I think back to Washington, what they had Backstrom and, that whole group with Ovechkin and all that group. And, there was a year or two there where people were saying, well, they need to blow up that core because, it's never going to win. And then, of course, they put it all together. You look at this Toronto, the core of guys. Do you think that Austin Matthews gets enough I don't want to say hate, but blame or whatever for this. I mean, it feels like, he's sort of the ringleader of that thing. And they find ways to just really just kind of soil the bed whenever they have a big game.
Yeah, no, to be quite honest with you, he's not receiving enough blame and criticism, I feel. A lot of it seems to be directed at Mitch Marner and the goaltending but this isn't the first year with Toronto. For the last couple of years here, 3 or 4 really, they've been a team that has been expected to go far, has the lineup to do it, is healthy at the right time, and just do not show up in the biggest moments. And how do you not turn and look at the leader of it all? And that's Austin Matthews. And to be quite honest with you, he didn't do it on the world stage either in the World Championships. He was kind of invisible during that whole tournament for Team USA. Did the same thing here. And at what point do you say, all right, you're not going to say the guy's not a stud. He is. He's an incredible hockey player. Every team in the league would want him. But at what point do you say maybe he can't do the big one here?
Yeah, I think the big thing about it is that, Toronto's the team that I think everybody is going to basically be saying, it's one of those things where it's like they're the team that maybe was supposed to do it. Now, the other team that we talk about in those terms, John, Edmonton, they're still alive, but they've got a really difficult assignment ahead of them. They've got to beat Dallas and either Florida or Carolina if they're going to get, McDavid is going to get that monkey off his back. Do they have enough to do it is my question to you.
They do. I don't think they're going to, though. I really don't. They've even proven that they, the big knock on them over the last couple of years has been the defensive side of the puck. Team defense, not just the goaltending, but the entire team defense and taking care of the zone. And really got taken advantage of a lot of 5-on-5 situations in years past where they shouldn't, but they kind of put that to bed. 2 shutouts to close out the series. They put that to bed. They're definitely showing that they can do that side of it. But boy, I just love Dallas. I really do. I love everything about them. They're clicking on every cylinder. And I just think from top to bottom, they're the better team.
Well, it feels like they've been really, really good, and of course, Mikko Rantanen, is that his name? He's just gone nuts, hasn't he? He's just out of his mind. But Edmonton is a team to me. The one thing I will say, John, is when they were losing, before last year, when they made it all the way to the Cup, right? They made it all the way to the final.
Yeah.
They were the team that everyone said was just kind of too soft and finessey to win dirty, gritty playoff series, which you need to be able to do. The last 2 years, they've been able to do that. They've played it a lot better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they've definitely made an effort to address that, and it has worked. They went to the Stanley Cup Finals. The Stanley Cup Final was incredible too because they were down 3-0, and so they had to turn around and win 3 straight to take it to 7. And so they know how to play in big games. They've definitely addressed that, but that's not their culture. That's not the game they want to play. They can adjust to it and win games if need be, but that's why hockey's so special. It's a 7-game series. There are it's very rarely there's frauds come when there's last 4 teams here, and they're not built to do that for 7 games with Dallas. I don't think. I don't feel that that's the way they're going to be able to do it. They can. They've done it in spurts, but they're going to have to do it for probably 7 straight games, and that's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing to me is Edmonton is kind of the team everybody feels like, this is their team. This is their sort of their run over the last few years, and they have fallen short. I don't believe that they don't win, though, that it's going to get blown up like some people suggest. They're right there on the cusp. Maybe you have to do a little bit, right?
That's going to have a lot to do with how McDavid feels about the whole situation.
Yeah.
They don't need to. The pieces are there in place. But I don't follow Edmonton news the way that I'd like to, I guess. But I can't imagine he's having a great experience right now. It's got to be getting hot and heavy up there with the pressure, and I would imagine he would have to sit down with management and talk about what the future looks like. If they plan to trade Leon Draisaitl or move on from Leon Draisaitl, if they plan to move on from a couple of these defensemen, what does he feel about that? It's kind of the same situation we're looking at here, except we've had some success at least.
Well, you got the on the other side. So you like Dallas in that, and you like on the other side, you got the Panthers and the Hurricanes. I think both are really good teams, obviously.
They are.
Carolina is really a pain in the ass to play against. And I feel it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this series because, it's one of the series where I look at it and say these two teams could really go deep, overtime games, 7 games and all that kind of stuff because of the way they play. I mean, how do you see it playing out? What do you like about both teams?
I mean, this series has everything you want in a hockey series. This one's going to be really fun, and it starts tonight. Florida is just a team that relentlessly comes at you and comes at you and comes at you, and it's 3 straight periods of relentless. And sometimes they're not rewarded till the third. But if they just keep coming and keep coming and keep coming, then you got Carolina, who's an ultra-skilled team, and really just pesky on the pucks, and it's going to be high flying. It's going to be really tight checking, and I think we're going to see a lot of emotion spill over here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's going to be, Carolina. Like to me, I think if I was an opposing team, what team would I want to play least out of all the playoff teams? Be Carolina, just because of the way they play. They're hard to watch at times, but man, are they really good at what they do? They
really are. They are everywhere they need to be. They just smother you in every single way. And yeah, sometimes it is hard to watch, no different than the New Jersey Devils were tough to watch back in the day, but they won. They won, and they have bought into that game plan, and they play it well. And on the flip side, Florida has done the same. So you got 2 committed teams to what they're doing, and it's going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be really fast, really tight checking, like I said, and you got everything on the line to go to the Stanley Cup, so I think it's going to be super exciting.
John, thank you so much, buddy. I look forward to watching these 2 playoff series, and, of course, we'll have you back to preview the Stanley Cup final for us.
I can't wait.
All right, my man.
You having me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. That is John Gratton. He is Plum's hockey coach. Breaking.
Hey, Pittsburgh. When you think of great roofs, you think Greenewalt Roofing Company. With over 20 years experience, Greenewalt knows your roof is your home's first line of defense. From rain, wind, snow, and ice. That's why Greenewalt Roofing's standard for perfection is so important. You can trust that their team of experienced installers will treat your property like it's their own. When it comes to roof replacements, Greenewalt Roofing is Pittsburgh's only choice. Visit greenewaltroofing.com today or call 412-314-8882 to schedule your free estimate. PA contractor number 36262.
All right, that's about it for us. We'll do it again tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk more Steelers. Maybe we'll have a quarterback by tomorrow. Of course, I've said that every day for at least the last 3 months. Until such time that we meet again, my friends, enjoy your day, stay out of trouble, and let's try and hope that the Pirates can continue to stave off being under 500. And I'm talking about as a franchise because, again, they're only 2 games above 500 now. That's a remarkable fall from grace if you really think about it.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.